Welcome to Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture from two very different perspectives. I'm your host, Theo. On the line, I had the man himself, Mr. Benja. What is up, my man?
Woo! What's up, boy? I feel hype, like I hit by a bolt of lightning or something.
Ah, yeah, you must be on that black tip.
Black dog. I'm black. I'm black. Black Adam. I was like the first man. First man was black. Adam.
Man, guys, we are so excited to share with you. This is our special pod. We're going to talk about Black Adam first reactions. This is a hot one, guys, because we both literally just saw this movie. Not together, but we did see it the same day for a change. And so we'll talk about that. So this will be the pod where we'll just go deep into Black Adam and Shazam and other things that's going on at DCEU. But love to get into this today. But Mr. Benja, before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about how was your week?
Man, week was actually hard, man. Week was kind of tough for me. I was fighting back some anxiety. I was just dealing with stuff that wasn't moving the way I wanted it to. You know how that frustrates you when like come on, why isn't this moving? And so at the end of the week, man, I was just like, all right, I need a comic book movie to liven me up. And Black Adam happened, and we're about to talk about it. So that was my week, man.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you feeling better. I didn't know that. Oh man, same here, man. Just grinding, brother. I mean, this last couple of weeks in business world's been a lot. And man, I blame you, Mr. Benja, that helped me
Oh,
get out of my doldrums, man. You helped me. Thank you. Just
oh,
want to say
okay. I appreciate it.
that.
I'll
You have because you sent me the Undercover Billionaire season
oh
two
yeah,
with
yeah.
Grant Cardone. And man, that inspired me, man. I got back on the Grant Cardone train, man, and just seeing how he flowed and because I watched it when it first premiered, but I guess forgot all about it because of it went to like Discovery Plus, so I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for everything. I just didn't sign up for that one.
Mhm.
And thanks to you, I cracked out on just Grant Cardone, right?
Yep.
but but what I was impressed with was that the Undercover Billionaires didn't just go by what he said. It actually did talked about what he did. And I was like amazed about like different things he did to kind of move. So for those that don't know, Undercover Billionaire is a show where they plop a billionaire anywhere in the country. We talked about this probably last week on the Wednesday pod, anywhere in the country. And with basically $100, a cell phone, or beat up truck, and they changed their name. And so now their goal is in 90 days, 3 months, they
Mhm.
have to build a business that's worth $1 million
Oh
in
my god.
90 days. And see Grant Flow, man, like in that environment, I was like, oh yeah, this is why he is who he is. And so it kind
Yeah.
of got me back on the train with him. So, listen to his podcast. Like I hinted at, you may be interested in going to one of his conferences. So if you don't know, Grant Cardone is one of these, sales gurus, talks about marketing. He's a little older than some of the ones like Ty Lopez or Gary Vee. But, I think for a lot of guys, he's been in this mix for a minute and he's kind of proven himself. So anyway, make a long story short, that inspired me, Mr. Benja. And I'm like, oh, I can 10x my business and I'm going to make it happen. So I appreciate you sending that my way.
Hey, no problem, man. Anything that gets me hyped, it's just too much for me to handle. So I got to send it to somebody else, get them hyped too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we both have read his books and, kind of went through his stuff. And, just like all these gurus, after a while, you're just like, okay, they're saying the same stuff over and over again. But, I think you kind of have to, if you're, and, for anyone who's listening, you kind of have to, if you build a business, always have to refresh, that cup because, you know, it can beat you down. When we talk about it, economy's getting down a little bit, recession talks. Yeah, just, me personally dealing with customers and
Mm,
employees.
yep.
But man, sometimes you gotta fill that cup, man. You hear because I think what the challenge as a business person is because you're always kind of in two worlds. You have to kind of understand the reality of the present because
Yeah.
you got it. It's just it is what it is. Customers calling you right now, got to fix it. You got to deal with finances and stuff like that. But you really, I mean, to really grow, you have to spend more time in the future. And if you can't balance that well, then you kind of get stuck. You're just like, I'm spending so much time in the past or currently in my current situation. I'm not spending enough time in the future. And Grant is really about that. Like, you gotta spend 95% of your time on getting income. 99.9% should be spent
Yeah.
getting income. Forget about expenses.
You getting too, yeah, you getting too into it, dog. We got to save that for the breakdown, right?
I know, man. I know. So let me stop. But anyway, guys, so go check it out. Undercover Billionaire. We'll talk about on one of our pods in the next couple of weeks, guys. So yeah, thank you, Mr. Benja, for this week. So, well, with that being said, Mr. Benja, let's do a quick little segment on digging in the crates. And this one, we'll talk a little bit about our memories of Black Adam slash Shazam. This is the character that Black Adam kind of was introduced with. So, Mr. Benja, I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts about, what do you remember about Black Adam in general?
Oh, dude, I didn't even remember this dude. I kind of liked Shazam, and I thought Black Adam was like, one of the Star Trek things where they just you know, put the goatee on you, and all of a sudden that's the evil guy. So whenever I saw Black Adam, I was like, all right, whatever, and kept going. Didn't even think about him. It took me up until when people started passing around animated gifs until I got with Black Adam, because there was one of just him like in the animated show beating the crap out of Superman or having a good little fight with him, and I was like, oh crap, who is this? And then I had to look into Black Adam, and that got me into some DC animated movies and shows. And he's relatively new to me. I knew of him, but now I'm getting into him, and I'm like, all right, this guy's a character.
Interesting. I mean, I wasn't a big DC fan growing up. I mean, and I kind of heard of Shazam, but I thought it was kind of hokey. It's kind of like, I'm a kid and I say this word and I'm like, superhero, like, whatever. But
Uh huh.
as I got older, I started reading some of the Justice League comic books and he shows up in there. And Black Adam is kind of like this, kind of like a mix of between like Ra's al Ghul, kind of like this big thinker,
Yeah.
kind of, on earth thinker, but he kind of owns his own kind of, city. He's like a ruler. So he's kind of like a Magneto, he has a people that he's responsible for. And so it's kind of interesting mix, right? It's like this dude that's like, and I think in the comic books, he's trying to take over the world though, right? So he's always kind of like has some machinations for that. And so
Yeah.
it's just, I digress, man. Villains are interesting in this these comic book series. It's like you got different levels to this thing. So it's like I always want to see what would happen if like a villain took over the world, but now he's got to face the outside world, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
freaking Dark Seed comes, right? And now
Yeah.
you got the Black Adam versus Dark Seed. But I digress. So anyway, I think I thought he was kind of cool. He was kind of one of those kind of like uber villains, and like they had to really put it all together to kind of fight this guy because he was also smart
Yeah.
and he was powerful. So I like that aspect of him.
Yeah. And he was just, you know what? He was kind of like DC's Namor to me, where he was just this
Mhm.
this mean dude who was just like, listen, I got my own thing going on. F all y'all. So once I started reading into him a little more, I started to like that about him.
Yeah, I think so too. He's a ruler, so he's he knows how to he's trying to rule his people, and it's like I think there's part of him that does want to rule the planet. He's got a better idea, But I always get the sense that they just don't know kind of always what to do with him. Like you're right, some of the animated shows they did show. I think it was one of them. I can't. It was based off a Justice League story where he kind of tried to take over the world,
Hmm.
and Justice League had to deal with him. And I was like, damn, this dude is that powerful. They got to sit in the whole Justice League. Okay. There you go. So yeah, so that was impressed me about the character in general.
Yeah, it's funny as like a kid, I usually like the I would usually think those are hokey characters, like Shazam being hokey because he turns into a kid or whatever. But somehow Shazam worked for me. I'm not exactly sure why. And then Black Adam didn't work for me. I'm not exactly sure why, because if you listen to my other talks of characters and things, that it seems totally backwards. I should have been liking Black Adam and calling Shazam a punk, but other way around.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna talk about that, his origin story from comics and what they introduced in his movies a little bit more. But
So real quick, what got you out to the theater?
yeah, so are we gonna talk a little bit? We're gonna move on to the Black Adam review next.
I was just flowing.
Just flow. We're freestyling, guys. We're freestyling. This is a different flow. So yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and segment over to the Black Adam review. So we'll put that on the time marker. But so what got me over there, man, like we talked about this, I think on the Wednesday pod. I think we both were like, nah, this don't seem like the thing for us. And literally, I was sitting here, me and my son, my 6-year-old, we were just kind of just sitting around. My wife and my daughter, they were out doing something. So I was
Mhm.
going to do some work around the house. And I said, you know what? I'm kind of tired. I said, well, let me see if Black Adam's playing. Let's just see. And it was a show showing like in the next 5 minutes. Say, hey, son, let's go. So, so it's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those game time decisions where I just like, you know what, let's just go check it out. I mean, cause and also, I mean, I think one of the reasons I'm more so than maybe you, I'm one of those that man, I just don't like being spoiled. And I started hearing rumblings, we'll talk about
Mm.
later that was happening with the Black Adam. I was like, oh, I gotta go. I guess I gotta go watch this now because I don't want to get spoiled too much on this. So that was kind of what drove me out to go see it. What about you?
Man, as I said, I was up this morning and I was just feeling like because the week had been hitting me, man. I was like, ugh, from this week. And then I said, all right, well, I could go see Black Adam because I was trying to rationalize to myself, like, well, if I see Black Adam, then I'll be able to talk about it and post about it, and that'll be part of my social media initiative, blah blah blah. And I was trying to rationalize having a good time, right, at a movie. And then I was like, nah, man, let me just go. So I whipped out the Fandango app, which I'm gonna talk trash about, you know, bought my ticket, ran out to the theater, and I was like, all right, scan this. And the lady scanned it. She's like, I'm sorry. Like, what are you talking about? It's like not going through. So I was like, let me give you the confirmation number. Didn't go through. And I looked at it. It was to the theater, like a couple blocks down. Right. And I'm pissed. I'm like, what? Impossible. How could this be? It's like, give me a ticket for this one. And it's like, I looked at all the seats. I didn't like them. And I was pissed. So I was like, she's like, well, we can. I was like, yeah, whatever, lady. Have a good day. I'm sorry. I got to go. I went outside and was like, I can't miss like the first 15 minutes of the movie. So I started looking for other show times and everything. And I was about to go back in, right? I was about to go back in. I just said, let me calm down. Let's find some other times. And I opened up Fandango and their app. What it did is after I'd updated the app like a couple weeks ago, they changed it to where they don't show me my favorite theater. They show me theaters close to me by default. So I thought it
Mm.
was going to be my favorite theater sitting right there. That's why I just went ahead and bought. I saw the name of my favorite theater, but that's not what the icon was. So a slight little design difference. Anyway, so I ended up getting pissed and I was about to buy another ticket, right? And I said, let me go eat, calm down. So I went and ate, calm down. Was about to buy a second ticket. People coming out of the theater, right? People coming out of Marshalls. People coming out of, what was it, LA Fitness over there. I'm like, what's going on? Everybody's just coming out. I thought there might be a fire or something. I heard sirens in the background. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
is it going down? Do I need to jump in the car and just get out of here? Power went down in the whole area. So I'm like, oh my God.
What?
Oh my God. So I'm sitting here thinking I'm about to go to the next showing, right? Not going to that one either. Power's out. So I'm like pissed again. Well, but I'm not going to give up now because I'm mad now. You know, sometimes I'm bad with sunk costs, right? I'm like, I'm not going home. I said I was going to feel better. So instead of being 10:30, I'm looking at like a 2 o'clock showing now. So it's like what, almost getting toward 4 hours now where I haven't seen this movie.
Sheesh.
So I'm just like, man, I'm like, all right, man, I'm supposed to do a podcast. I gotta, man, I'm gonna see this movie. So I sent you that text and was like, hey, I'm watching it now. Talk to you when I get back. Sped off to another theater, got in there, and yeah, just got back, turned on the computer, start recording this, and I had a good time.
Oh man, that's quite a story, man. Well, I'm glad you stay persistent because some folks would not be as persistent as you. I'm sorry that the Fandango app is sucky. I haven't used Fandango app in like years because I'm still on AMC stubs.
Mhm.
So I just get 3 free movies a week. I'm still on that, so I'm just gonna do that. That helps me get through a lot of movie stuff. But Fandango, it's not the app anymore. Is that what you're telling me?
I wanted to get back into product development just to go tell them how bad they are. No cap.
Oh, damn. Yeah. I mean, AMC app can be a little trash too, man. So my story is pretty simple, but I was still debating if I was gonna take my 6-year-old to go see this movie. And so I was trying to see reviews, but I didn't want to get spoiled. So I said, let me just go take him. And so I tried to get the tickets. And then, first time I did it, it was like the seats are taken. I'm like, what? And then so I had to go back to beginning. They
Mhm.
said the seats were taken again. I said, "Oh, what the hell's going on here?" And then I finally did a third time, finally the seats got through. And so I was able to kind of get two seats next to each other to watch this movie.
Were you picking the same seats, or you
Yeah, I
trying to
was
get
picking
any seat?
exactly. Good point. I was picking the same seats. 'Cause
Okay.
whatever reason, the app was kind of saying the seats were taken. And the same seats was like eight and nine or something like that. And the same seats kept popping up, even though that the app was saying they were taken. So that was kind of weird. But so yeah, I persevered. So I got the tickets. It wasn't like IMAX or anything like that. It was just like a regular,
Right.
simple theater, not with even the recliner seats. My son was like, "Dad, these seats don't recline? What's going on?" I was like, "No, son." He said, "I'm too small. I can't lean back like I want to." I was like, "Yeah, dog, just chill,
Right.
man."
Wait,
Yeah.
have you ever rolled him into a theater that doesn't have stadium seating?
Oh, yeah, I have. And he's just
Oh.
like, "What the hell is this?" So yeah, my kids are bougie, man. They're bougie. Some bougie kids here, man, but it's all good. I'm gonna get them out of that. So anyway, so we're going to watch it. And so literally like the first part of it, we'll talk about it in a second. He's just like, "Dad, I don't know about this movie." He said, "This movie's boring." I said, "Give it time. Give it time." And so then, when it got into it, I said, "Is it still boring?" He said, "Nah, it's all right." So I got a 6 years approval. So,
Alright.
now I will say this, is it kid friendly? Absolutely not. I was
Oh,
like, oh, I was feeling like bad dad vibes here, man, because there's some scenes, and you know them. I
yeah.
was like, and it's like you.
Now
So here, here,
now
here.
we're spoiling, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna spoil it, but we'll talk about it in a second. But
Okay.
I just want to say this: you know how you see a scene, you just like, oh, that's sus. Should I talk about this? Should I just let it go? So
Yeah,
when you're a
yeah,
parent, you got these two decisions. Like, do I let him internally process this, and is this something that's gonna scar him for life, or he's gonna talk about his friends? Like years
yeah,
later, my dad let me see that. Or is it something I should just like, "What's up? This is what happened. This is what happened." And I chose to let him process it internally and
yeah,
didn't say anything about it because there were some scenes though that were a little scary. I said, "Hey, that that's just joke. Everybody's just playing around, trying to make it light." But there's one scene specifically. I know you know what I'm talking about. At the very end.
yeah, yeah.
So, and I was like, "Oh, what do I say?"
Yeah. There could be a couple levels to that, so
So anyway, so that was the only thing. It's just like, but I liked it though. So we'll talk more. I like man. There's some conflict in there around a hero, and there's some discussions there that I think needs to be made, and we'll probably discuss it later. But that's what I liked.
quick question about, the kid thing. Do you remember as a kid your dad asking you, like, where your dad or your mom was or somebody was fishing to see what you thought about something, like, "So, what'd you, think of the movie? Anything stand out to you?"
Nah, man.
See, my parents were taking me to everything because, as I said, they were artsy and they'd sit down and talk about all kinds of stuff, and I'd be in art galleries asking questions that I shouldn't be asking, and so that's how I grew up, unfortunately,
Yeah.
or fortunately.
Well, I do ask them every time, what was the movie about, and then what'd you learn from it, right? And so, just like,
Questions.
it's about a crown. I was like, okay, what'd you learn? Something simple. It's about a friendship. Okay, that's fine. So anyway, so yeah, so like I said, I don't know. I probably would have waited. He was a little bit older, but I thought it was action packed. And you want to get into
I'm
so not kid friendly in my opinion.
no, I'm laughing because, well, never mind. I snuck into risky business when I was a kid, and that was not, like, condoned. I totally snuck into that one. Bad business there.
I literally saw. We talked about this before, but I
Yeah.
saw School Days with my dad because he wanted to see it, and there's a sexy scene in there where a teacher Campbell, I
Shit.
think, licks the guy's hair, and for a long time I thought that's what sex was, and so there you go. So like I said, and my dad never said anything to me. I never said anything to him. I just looked straight ahead. So yeah, so but I like taking my kids to movies and just kind of expose them to what I love, and I think they like it too. So, but it's not as PG, it's PG-13. I get it, and it really does earn that distinction, in my opinion.
All right.
All right, man. Where do you want to start with this review, man? Where we want to go? It's a lot of different things we can cover.
General impressions, because let's just throw those out there and then we can break it down, right? So, in general, I was pleasantly surprised with this. I like the vibe. It was, and maybe I needed something that was more standard fare hero movie at the time. Didn't break too much new ground, but we got the Rock's take on things, and I think it fit the DCEU pretty well. So I was happy with it, and I may have been pretty open to being happy with it because I said I was kind of in a bad mood throughout the week, and I just had to watch the movie today. So overall, I enjoyed it, and I got good things out of it.
You know what, man? Same here. I mean, maybe I went in with like so low expectations. Expectation game is real.
Mm,
Sales 101. Set the expectations low, blow them out the water. They're just like, you're like walking on water for me. And it's like I came in like low expectations. I was like, oh, this is just rock, doing this thing.
mhm.
Pretty much it was, but
Oh yeah,
I did like there was a lot of things in there that was interesting, that we haven't even seen from Marvel about what it means to be a superhero, a hero versus an anti-hero. That's discussions that haven't even started in Marvel yet. It's the whole God, like, DC is about gods. And so just what that means and how does that react to people, and
yeah,
then what it means to help people in other countries. What does it mean to have superheroes in other countries? Are those like nuclear weapons for different
yeah,
countries? So I thought there was a lot of good concepts, and be honest with you, the VX effects were like awesome. So compare it because it was such a delay with COVID and stuff that they were able to make better VFX
yeah,
effects. So I would just say that I liked it. I mean, I was impressed. I mean, and it also was a different version because let's be honest, this is the Rock's version of Black Adam. It wasn't just Black Adam. This is The Rock. I mean, he produced this with his producing partner, and they have a vision of what they want Black Adam to be, which is nothing,
yeah.
almost nothing like the comic book.
Right, right. So you're talking about expectations. I just looked up the Rotten Tomatoes score, and this also played into a lot of people's expectations. Earlier on in the week, we were getting scores of like, 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it was like, oh man, it's going to be bad. People were saying bad things about it. Then, today it hits in at 41% for the
Mm.
critical reviews. And, people were kind of laughing at it and stuff like that. And they were even making Morbius comparisons. But these are people that hadn't seen it.
Mm.
The audience scores popped in and at 80 something percent, and now they're sitting at 90% audience score.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Yeah, this might be overperforming than people realize. They said right now it is looking at 60 to 62 million projection for the weekend, which is Rock's best opening. I can't believe that. I didn't know that, but that's his best opening as a leading man. He's been in so many movies, but yeah, I mean, I guess, what's it called? Fast and the Furious, that was more of an ensemble cast.
yeah,
But this is probably his best opening, and he produced it too. So he's got all the power, man. So kudos to him. Yeah, man. I think expectations are real, man, and the expectations were low on this. But I think I mean, Rock's a star. Let's be honest. But the way they set it up and some interesting things, I thought there's something there. I mean, now what is that? We don't know, but there's something there. And we'll talk later about what the big thing was, really
yeah,
getting people excited.
yeah. This is a spoiler show, so we assume you've seen it and you know what we're talking about. But we'll get to that. Yeah, so I like the Rock's vibe here, and I don't think I've seen him in this kind of element where I've enjoyed him this much since the Scorpion King. I
You
think that
don't
was.
like when The Rock talks. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Ooh, you may have gotten me in a pickle there because I don't know how to answer that. Uh, I mean, yeah, it's The Rock. I don't know. I'm trying to think back to times where I watched The Rock and be like, I really like this. He does his thing in the Fast and Furious movies, but it's not as much of The Rock, I guess, as a Fast and Furious movie with The Rock in it.
What about Jumanji? I mean, did you like those at all? Did you watch those?
I mean, they were fine, but yeah, it's not like it's not the hardcore rock. It's that's a much more lighthearted rock.
Mm,
This is a side of the rock that I liked, and I think I started seeing this in was that show Ballers? Was that
yeah.
show that he was
Mhm,
in? Yeah, I kind of
mhm.
like that harder, edgier rock. So and he did that a bit in wrestling too. So I think
Of
that's
course,
where
yeah.
I stuck with it. So no, I like this, and I think he's making a power move. I like what he's doing here. So he
Is
stole the
he?
show for me.
Is
Is
he?
he?
Yeah,
Is he?
we'll talk about yeah.
Okay.
Business move. He's making some business moves, man, but we'll discuss. So I know, look, us, we're gonna get into it. So overall thoughts, we both enjoyed it, pleasantly surprised. What's next on the agenda?
You said he was making some business moves. Is he? Is he?
Oh man. I think I put it on the show notes a little bit later, but
Oh,
so you know who produced this, right? Danny Garcia. Do you know who that is?
I don't know.
She's his ex-wife, but also they're
Oh, her.
cool enough where she's actually still his manager.
Right, right.
And they produce a lot of the stuff to get all his movies they produce together under their brand. Forgot it was like $6 or something like that. And then also they're business together with XFL and other ventures, right? So she is a producer on this, and then also her brother is also a part of this, and some other folks. So this is a big play for them because they produced this with, and you saw it was under New Line Cinema. I forgot New Line Cinema is bought by Warner Brothers Discovery, and so they kind of, brought it to them, developed this as a rock vehicle more so than a DCEU, plug and play like Kevin Feige. So that's kind of interesting. That's never been that's kind of, I mean, I think, let's see. They try What happened was Ed Norton tried to make a play. Remember back in the day with the Hulk? He was the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
version of the Hulk, and he would took control of the whole production. They kicked him out. And so because Kevin Feige is like, we're controlling this, right? No one else. And I guess, now the only other person who could have made a play was, what's his name? Robert Downey Jr. But I guess he was just like, they would just give him so much money. He was just like, I'm good. But, so this is the first time we've seen kind of like talent trying to take a play at the bigger franchise discussion, right? Like, hey, why don't you give us rights to the DCEU, right? And
Mhm.
what we can do with it. And obviously, Black Adam's going to be a big part of that because that's a character The Rock plays. So that's kind of the power play. And what they did also, Danny Garcia is a manager of another actor that pops up on this show, popped us on this movie. And so that's the big thing. So
Ah, interesting.
yes.
Okay.
So
That's
that's what's going on from a business standpoint. So
that's
if they
cool.
were able to get this actor to come play, and now they're like, "Hey, look, we got a good villain, anti-hero, got a good hero. You need to give us." Now, the other movie, and I got this from Grace too. She mentioned this. The other person who has a play in this, because right now there is no leader of DCEU, James Gunn, right? Because he's created this whole Suicide Squad.
Mm,
His character, the actress, plays Amanda Waller, shows up in this, Viola Davis, and so she's the linking, core of kind of like the DCEU right now. And that's something James Gunn came up with, pretty much, or did he know someone else? I think it was, well, but James Gunn is kind of the shepherd of the whole, Suicide Squad
right,
motif and
right.
everything. And so those are the two opposing forces right now that the talent is vying for the
Yeah.
control of DCEU. So The Rock is doing it.
So, yeah, when we okay, so well, we I know we haven't really talking about the story yet, but I think that's an important setup because it actually played out in the story in a pretty slick way. So we could start with The Rock here and the overall story. How are you feeling about the Black Adam story, the way they laid it out, his background? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I think, they introduced the character. I mean, as he's for a time and a place, right? And so he's helping place. And then there's a third act reveal that just flips the script on who he really is. And then also, kind of places him firmly as just, hey, I'm just this guy, dude, man. I'm doing my thug thizzle, right? I'm just out here,
Yeah,
doing what I do. I'm no hero, right? And so I kind of like that aspect of it, right? So they had to juxtapose it with, the Justice Society, right? To kind of just give a hey, there's some real people that are good and trying to do right in the world, and then there's people who are bad, and then there's people in the middle who are just like, look, I got to do what I got to do. So I thought that was kind of interesting take, of what this means to be an anti-hero, superhero. And I think maybe people have tried this before. I mean, Wolverine, let's be honest, is pretty much an anti-hero, right? I mean, that's why
Mhm.
he's been so successful for all these years. But to having someone that powerful to be that way, I think that's kind of interesting take. And I'm curious to see where they go with this.
Yeah, I like the idea of, he woke up and there wasn't anything for him to do. I mean, but he was angry when they put him away. And when he pops back out, he's still angry, but he's not like he doesn't have any goal. He's just angry. And then people start attacking him right off the bat, which makes him angrier. So it's like, okay, this is a good little setup where we just have this angry dude and people keep messing with him. And he's trying to find something to do with his anger. And I think that plays for a lot of people who are just kind of upset in this time, this era, and don't know what to do. So it's like, nah, man, even though you may not have a purpose or something like that to live for, you can still, they're the people around you, the people look up to you and all this. So I thought it just worked. Yeah, I don't know. That was my take on it as I started watching it. This guy lashing out and everything.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, you're right. I mean, it was kind of like, I mean, straight action, right? I was like, well, damn, it's like 40 minutes and where's the rock, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, there's like, that's what my son was saying. This is boring, right? There's like a whole like 30, 40 minutes where it's just set up, set up, set up, set up, set up, set up, right? And so finally the rock pops up and it's action. So, he's just going to town doing what he does. And I think at the same time, then they have to kind of introduce a counterbalance, which is the Justice Society of America. And so that's when they kind of get into the mix.
Did you think that? Okay, so you thought? Do you think there's anything they could have done to streamline it a bit? Because it was kind of heavy, but then at some point I started understanding what they were trying to get at. I mean, you're not just making a bad guy and a good guy; you're making a bad guy, and you don't so much care about the opposing force, the antagonist. And then you're also setting up the Justice Society the way they did it and this possibility for a new universe while still remaining a very intact movie on its own.
Yeah.
So when I started thinking about all that, I was like, okay, I see what they're doing. And I didn't quite get that until he started wigging out in the kid's room. So he's in the kid's
Mhm.
room, right? And they had this little fight going on. And you've seen it, so I'm acting like you haven't seen it. But there's a fight, and they end up in the kid's room, and the kid's got posters of Batman. He's got
Mhm.
figurines,
Mhm.
Wonder Woman, and all this. And it's like as they're fighting, you just see like the scratches go across the Flash poster. You see like his fist going through the Superman poster, and the last one they did was the fist going through the wall, and he went through the Superman, the Death of Superman poster,
Mhm.
just like Doomsday's fist. It was a total throwback to Doomsday's fist going through Superman's chest. And I was like, holy crap, this is, they're throwing all that under the bus. They're like taking this new step forward. So when I
Yeah.
started when I started seeing that, I was like, oh, okay. Y'all, he's trying to put y'all to the side. Not put y'all to the
Mhm.
side, but there's a statement being made here. I like it.
I mean, it's a power play, man. Put it into the story, but setting it up for something bigger kind of. I mean, that's chess, no, right? You're a chess player.
Yeah.
You're doing two things with one move, right? And so they're trying to establish there's a fight, and the fight is between him and Hawkman, right? And they're just and they're trying to establish that fight, and like which basically Hawkman was there to kind of just show what a good guy's about, right? And to kind of constantly keep, opposing what The Rock was doing as Black Adam. Then they
Yeah.
had this big old fight inside, you're right, the sanctum of DCEU. And you see Batman statue fall down, you see Wonder Woman. It's just like Aquaman supposed to get busted up. So they're like, it's subconsciously they're trying to say, hey, this ain't your daddy's DCEU, man. We're about to bust
Yeah.
this shit wide open. So I like what they're, I think that's the power move and that's the play. that, so there's a war. I mean, it's not unlike, I mean, I know I'm diverging here, but it's not unlike, I'll be honest with you, what's happening with Star Wars now, right? There's another vision that's popping
Yep.
up, right? We talked about this. I don't know if you got a chance to watch Andor yet, but Andor is kind of like trying to put a different vision than the Filoni verse, right? The stuff he's
Yeah.
built with Clone Wars. So now we got two opposing visions, and which vision's gonna win out? And I think now we're gonna have probably we'll really have four visions. Let's be honest. We got the Matt Reeves, we got the what's his name, the Joker,
Now Matt Reeves
the
is the latest with the Batman.
the
The Batman.
Batman, yes, the
Mhm.
Batman. We got the Joker, which was written by man, I can't remember his name. He did the Hangover, but it'll come to me later. Now we got The Rock, and now we got what's his name? Shoot, I'm drawing a blank. I see all their faces, but James Gunn. So we got four versions now of the DCU that's battling now. So what's going to win out? And can it be multiple versions? I don't know, but Kevin Feige has shown that you need to have one architect that really makes us all sing. So I think there's a battle now to kind of figure out which vision. And I think Zack Snyder, let's be honest, he's probably still floating around here, right? Just in case. So they got all these visions floating around, and then that's the most emphatic, that fight scene, to your point. It's the most emphatic play that I've seen that's just shown. Hey, this the gauntlet. We're tearing this shit down. So
Yeah.
you want to go with us? This is what we want.
And I think it actually works for DC because they're still playing within the confines of a DCEU, so it works for the fans. And now it's like, okay, would you rather see, Aquaman versus, some other guy they introduced in the DCEU, or do you want to see him, playing around with like one of Hawkman's enemies? You've got this other
Mhm.
set of characters that come along with the Justice Society as well. And now it's already written up that they're associated with Waller, so we know they're not completely.
Mm.
So even the good guys aren't completely 100% on the side of good. They're kind of, I mean, Dr. Fate's a little on the fence. He's kind of weird that way. Hawkman, the personality they gave him in this one was like, dude's a bit of an extremist. He's like, this is good, this is bad. Those people go down and
Mm.
go to prison. We lock them up for life and don't, let them eat anything but
Oh,
bread.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love the way they set that up. So I think it's good for the DCEU. Very good for it.
Yeah, I think so too. And so if The Rock can play this right, I mean, if he can't control all the DCU, he can absolutely probably have a say in the villains, right? And what that looks like, right? Can he create these anti-hero villains? I mean, but be honest with you, I guess that's what James Gunn is doing, right? With Suicide Squad. So those two visions are kind of really opposing each other right now.
Yeah, after finishing up Peacemaker, I'm putting my money on The Rock, whatever vision he has.
What?
Yeah,
Oh.
I was Peacemaker, piece of shit maker.
Wow, that's another pod, man. I respected what he was doing, but I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it. I mean, if you watch Slither, I mean, trauma stuff,
right.
that's just who he is, man. There's going to be some bullshit in the comedy.
I had to take a shot at it. No, Peacemaker did his job. It wasn't totally my thing, but it did its job. But I am totally rocking with The Rock in this vision right now.
Okay. So yeah, so I think we both kind of like the anti-hero aspect of it. So you want to get into the characters?
Yeah, let's go.
So who you want to start? You put here Waller first. What you got?
Yeah, I'm not sure why I moved her up to first. I think she sets a certain tone, and it's like this lady back in the shadows. Also, that kind of, I don't want to say undermines, but it harkens to what James Gunn did with Suicide Squad and all that. And it's like, hey, we have this character here that's not all the way above board, and she's kind of pulling the strings. So that just offers all kinds of story ideas. Like, does the Justice Society get tricked, or is Black Adam going to be used for nefarious means? And she didn't do much in the story, but I think what we've seen of her, it just allows for a lot of interesting ideas. And right when I started seeing her, pushing pieces around the board, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. And I was kind of invested right off the bat.
Yeah, she's definitely there. And they've kind of established that a little bit as kind of like the Nick Fury, What's the one for the Thunderbolts for Marvel? Is that
Ross?
no Ross, but who's the one that's put like US agent together and all the folks together?
Oh,
That's
with the long name. Yeah.
Yeah. She's played by Louis Dreyfus from Seinfeld fame, but so yeah, so there has to be some connective tissue, right, between all these different movies, and definitely Waller. I mean, even at DCU, she's kind of like that, right? So it's kind of like, I think that having her there was really important, and then kind of having her kind of like controlling everything, has her hands in the justice, justice society, having access to more powerful individuals. So, but it does bring up a point, and I think, Waller is more like that, the administration of superheroes and controlling that aspect of it.
Hmm.
And it's like, they talked about in the movie. It's like, look, you didn't give a shit about, was it Kandak? Is that how you pronounce it? Or how do you pronounce the city?
The city, I don't know.
We'll go look it up, guys. But
Kondak.
look, yeah, Kondak. So she's the actress that was playing. Oh man, we should know her name, but her name is Sally Sarah. She's been in a bunch of stuff all the days. But she said directly to Dr. Fate, he said, "Look, no one cared about this country for 20 years, 23 years, right, when we were occupied. But now we have a hero. Now you want to worry about us? Man, get the hell out of here." So I like that aspect, just like that country pride, and Waller represents that kind of like this this neo kind of political fraction that's trying to control these superheroes. But is really, are they really helping people? They're helping wealthy nations, but they're helping the world. And I think that was an interesting concept. And like this justice society is supposed to be this international peacekeeping force of superheroes, but they ain't been to the places that people need help. It's just like, man, what's really going on? So I think that was what she was kind of there for, in my opinion.
Yeah. Speaking of the Justice Society, I really got a kick out of Hawkman coming in, talking all his noise, and then everybody like booing him. You know, all the people were like, "Hey man, you with the wings? Shut up." Boo.
What? What are you talking about? In the movie theater?
Yeah, no, I mean, and in the actual movie,
Oh no.
the citizens were all just like, "Hey man, that's our man. Get out of here,
Shut the hell up.
you bird."
I like that actress, Aldous Hodge. She's been around forever. He was in this show I used to love back in the day called Leverage, excuse me. And he played like a hacker kind of nerd character. And he's been, slowly developing his stuff. And so, yeah, for him to kind of get this, he actually got second billing behind The Rock, which is awesome. So I like the actor, but yeah, that role is more of a punk role. It was kind of like, look, I'm going to get beat up by The Rock. I'm going to try to fight him, but I was going to get beat up. But I did feel like they needed that character because he represented what a true hero should be, right? And what does that look like? And so, I understand why he was there. And be honest with you, he infused it with some comedy. Let's be honest, right? At the end,
Yeah,
he said, "Man, go kick his ass." I was just like, everybody like, "Yeah, do it." And so, so and then also I thought he did well with the Dr. Fate character.
mhm,
They both sold that relationship, right? That they
yeah,
really were friends. And so I think that was necessary. And he sold the leadership aspect, right? Talking to Adam Smasher, right? And so I think there's a lot of things that Hawkman did well. I think the actor did well to kind of position all that. But as a character, he came out as punk, as weak. And then they never really got into the whole reincarnation aspect of Hawkman, where they were just like, I'm not afraid of death, but they didn't really explain why he's not afraid of death, right? And so, or what what he's trying to do, right? He reincarnates and he's trying to find his lost love. They never got into all that with him. They didn't have time. So it was kind of like he was just there to service Black Adam as a
yeah.
character.
When I watched the movie, I actually thought to myself, "Huh, not the black hero is always the first one to get beat up." That's he couldn't die here, but he got beat up first. I was like, "Oh man."
He tried though. He tried. He tried to go against the Rock. He got a couple of licks in, but he tried.
Yeah, I actually thought that was a pretty, aside from the helmet, I thought it was a pretty decent portrayal of Hawkman. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this,
I mean, given what he was getting, I mean, it's very little, let's be honest. But, they try to portray Hawkman as this guy that just never gives up. He's just gonna always, keep fighting, which, with that tenacity.
yeah, got to talk to the costume department about that helmet though.
Oh, yeah, like it.
Nah, it was
Yeah.
alright. It's
Yeah.
alright.
What you got next? What's the next character?
So I was feeling Dr. Fate. Thought he took off his helmet a bit too much, and they didn't get into the how much the helmet controls you, right?
Mhm.
Because that was the big thing about the helmet kind of controlling you. It's really weird, and they only lightly touched on it. So I suppose they're saving that for later. But I actually thought the kid was going to end up touching the helmet at some point, and him being the new Dr. Fate or whatever. But I'm wondering what they're going to do with that because I like the character. I just don't think and they didn't have a lot of time. I understand, but I thought they were going to go into it a little bit more about the helmet.
Yeah. Do you remember any Dr. Fate comic book stories? Did you read any Justice Society of America?
Not too much. I just remember that everything I read of him, it was always this really heavy back and forth between him and the helmet. It like wasn't a nice thing. Like there was always just this concern of, this helmet might wig out, man. You gotta Whenever he puts the helmet on, we lose the character. But they toned that down because maybe the actor wanted to show his face a lot more and like, no, I can take the helmet off whenever I want. I'm a happy guy. It's like, nah, man, that helmet's supposed to be torturing you. It's supposed to messing with your soul, your
Good
psyche,
point. Good
and
point.
it may not even let go of your body if it doesn't want to. So I thought they were going to play that into it, but they just kind of played it as man with the magic helmet.
Yeah. I mean, so, we always talk about Grace over at the behind the trailers, but she kind of hinted at a little bit about the character themselves. I mean, so the original versions of he was older gentleman. The thing about Justice Society of America, which is kind of cool, to be honest with you, and if they kind of play it right, is like it's really a legacy thing. It's like, my dad was part of Justice Society of America. I'm part of the Justice Society. It gets like passed down. And so like sometimes they have older characters in there with this younger heroes to kind of show them the way. And so Dr. Fate, is played by Pierce Bronson, a little older actor, but he took the place of Jay Garrett and I forgot the other, but they were the original Flash and Green Lantern, right? Back in the day. And so, they were older and they were trying to shepherd the younger heroes into what it means to be a hero. So I kind of like that about Justice Society. And that's what they're trying to kind of infer with his character. Be honest with you, I like the character design. It looks just like the comic books. I always thought that was a cool design. That helmet was like
Yeah,
awesome. I loved it.
that is badass.
Um, yeah, but you're right. Like I said, I'm not a Justice Society of America. Like, it's up there with the what's that? The other one, the Super Legion. What's it? The 3000, the ones in the year 3000. What they called?
Legion of Superheroes.
Legion Superhero. Those two versions of superheroes, I have no clue in DC like what they do, what they're about. But I did like, Dr. Fate as a character and like kind of, I mean, be honest, Pierce Bronson was probably one of the better actors in the whole movie. I mean, to fuse that character with so much pathos and make you care about him and what happened to him.
Yeah.
Basically, he died, guys. So just putting it out there, and just be him being happy about that because the weight of having to see so many futures all the time, and now finally, right before he dies, he sees nothing, and he's happy about that. Yeah, so I thought that was good, and the fact that he sold that, the fact that Hawkman and him were friends, which, who knows, but
Yeah.
that's good acting.
Yeah. And you know what? And to make it, it, it wouldn't have been right for the the characterization of the story. I mean, the different roles that characters have to play. If he was the dark, solemn, I can't control myself, my psyche's all messed up, I'm a
Good
tortured
point.
soul. He couldn't play that role. He needed to play the older mentor kind of character.
Yeah.
And in the history of that helmet, it has talked about, well, hey, there was a previous guy that really worked well with the helmet, and they just were basically friends, the helmet and the guy. Maybe that's the next character who puts it on. Maybe that character gets tortured and everything because he's
Mhm.
not Pierce Brosnan or whatever. So I understand why they did it. And I think it might have been a little too weird and bleak if he had been comics, well, what people think of him.
Mhm, mhm. Only thing I remember about him is there was this I'm trying to remember what that it's gonna be dark. It was a dark storyline where basically he saw what had happened to a character like back in the day, and I was like, she got like brutally like harmed, and it came to the forefront, and it kind of fractured the DCEU. And I can't remember that the storyline was about, but I'll figure it out. But yeah, once I kind of looked through that, I'll let you know. But it was like pretty intense. That's the only thing I remember as a character in the comic books, right?
Yeah.
But someone made a good point. Once again, shout out to Grace at behind the trailer. Dr. Fate and Hawkman, their powers are kind of tied to ancient Egypt. And so look, it makes sense for them to be there because, if Karnak is supposed to be kind of like this Middle Eastern country, to kind of have this story kind of set in Middle Eastern was like pretty cool. So, but they didn't really go into that at all. So that was, a missed opportunity.
Yeah. What was the do you remember the son's name
In what, the movie, or
in the movie?
if you give me 2 seconds to look on IMDb?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the reason I was asking is just because of the way they played the character. I just found out that a younger kid does actually get the Black Adam, I mean, the Dr. Fate helmet, and his name is Khalid.
Okay.
So I wonder if they really are going to go that way. Anyway, if you've ever watched Young Justice, there is a good story with Dr. Fate where Dr. Fate goes into the helmet and nobody knows what to do because the helmet's just sitting there all this time. And pretty good series, actually, Young Justice, if you haven't watched that.
Oh yeah, I used to watch it. I'm kind of behind a little bit, so I need to get caught up. But yeah, I mean, I think Harut was the name of his son. Harut,
No, no, not the
the Rock's
protagonist's
son.
son, the kid's son. I mean, not the Rock's family. Yeah,
Oh, the one with this the skateboard and all that.
yeah.
Oh man, yeah, good point. Don't know. I'll figure it
Ah,
out. Yeah, I'll figure it out. Oh, his name was Amon. Amon.
okay.
Yeah,
All right. So my theory is out of the window unless they change the name. Carry on.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, so yeah, so I mean, and be honest, so we don't really talk about them too much, but Adriana was his mother's name. She was the one that freed Black Adam, initially in the movie, and knew all the history. And in the comic books, I guess Adriana is supposed to be his love interest, right? And they share the power together. But she just showed up as kind of like this, a force to kind of keep Black Adam, reminded that he's, doing this for the country and all that, and also being the mother to the kid actor, the protagonist, who was more about like, hey, Black Adam, you need to, do this for the people.
Yeah.
He was and it probably, pretty much reminded Black Adam of his son, who we know was interested in, helping his people as well. So anyway, so I think there was some interesting things there with, the character of Dr. Fate and what he could do.
Yeah. Did you notice there was with the interactions that the mom and the son were giving Black Adam? That was pretty reminiscent of how they played Terminator 2.
Interesting.
So like the way they did Arnold Schwarzenegger with, no, you got to talk like this. You got to, use this catchphrase.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, someone made a good point. I mean, there's a lot of derivative stuff here, right? The slow mo kind of remind me of Quicksilver, right?
Hmm.
And X-Men, how
Yeah.
when he's fast, he sees everything in slow motion and set
Yeah.
everything up. So there's a lot of slow mo here for that. You're right. Terminator, that's a lot of reminiscent there. I never thought that. I didn't see that link. What was the other link I saw that was kind of reminiscent of some other movies? Man Out of Time, kind of like Captain America. So there's a lot of little things. There's like a hodgepodge.
Yeah.
They put it to make this movie work.
Huh. I wonder how it plays to younger audiences who haven't run through these tropes so often.
Yeah, I don't think they care. It's The Rock.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying it may be a lot more exciting to them because, like, dude, Black Adam did this, and these kids haven't seen Terminator. They don't know about that unstoppable force that's just trying to figure out how to speak to people and everything. So
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, The Rock is funny.
yeah,
Kind of, something funny.
shout out to Punk Rock, aka Skinny Rock.
Yeah, I mean, so third act reveal, we find out, Rock, you know, is not the original Black Adam. The Black Adam, probably know, was his son. And so that was kind of interesting. And so they actually have a reveal where when he says Shazam, he doesn't turn into a kid, he turns into a skinny rock. And so that's hilarious. So they had a scene with him being skinny rock and beating the shit out of folks too. So I was like, go ahead, skinny rock, doing your
Yo,
thing.
so big kid, little body. I
Your
loved it.
big, your big head. So yeah, I liked it too. It's fine. I mean, it's just like threw you out the movie a little bit because it's like he's so well known and so iconic. You just like, okay, that's not The Rock. Are they making him skinny? They try to do like Chris Evans thing. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly. I didn't have too much to say about the other 2 characters. I thought they were fine, did their job, and leave the door open for, a Discovery Plus series or something later on down the line.
yeah, it was sad. I mean, Cyclone, very pretty actress, very pretty powers, but it's just like kind of useless.
Alright.
They try to give her one little character trait. Oh, she's smart, right? But it's just like, okay. So that was kind of useless. And then the actor who played Adam Smasher, I thought there was something else there. He definitely brought a comic relief, which was hilarious. Like the biggest laugh in my theater was when he missed the rock when he was big and he said, "Hey man, watch where you go. I almost hit you." And then, smack down Hawkeye. I mean Hawkman. So
Yeah, I didn't, like, laugh at that, but my theater got a big laugh out of that too.
exactly. So they knew that was gonna hit. And it's just everything. And then every time Hawkeye looked at him and said, "You and me gonna talk." I mean, and then him and the rock at the end, he said, "Don't push it." So I thought that
Yeah,
was good. It was like some comedy, but also once again, playing chess, right? They're trying to do two things with one character, right? They also showed like this is a legacy thing. His dad, his Uncle Al, was also Adam Smasher at one time. Best matter of fact, it gets passed down, to his nephew who has the same powers and see what he can do with it. And so he's kind of living up to expectation of the mantle of, Adam Smasher. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So they're trying to do like, multiple things with characters. So I thought that was cool. So really, I thought he was useful to kind of bring comedy and to kind of show that legacy thing. But
yeah,
Cyclone, I just don't know what she was there for.
yeah. But the big character reveal,
We're gonna get
uh,
into it.
might as well. Or I mean, yeah. Well, we're on this train of thought anyway, right?
Yes. Let's do it.
Yeah, I waited till the end credit scene. Well, wait a minute. I gotta say I like the villain actually.
You did?
I I thought his design was pretty cool. We almost skipped past this. Yeah, with the old school dude had the upside down Star of David on his chest.
Good point.
Not
Yes,
Star
good
of
point.
David, but upside down pentagram on his
Mhm.
chest. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting design for a king kind of dude. And then when he came out of hell, I was like, oh shit, this dude looks like evil. I was digging
Mhm.
it.
Well, you know what? And shoot, so I thought the reveal of the character too was kind of interesting. It was like number one, I guess he was like their family friend or something. He was part of the pack that was looking for the crown. He was secretly working for I guess what's it, the inner gang or whatever it's called. And so he was kind of like, sly with it. And then, he was always trying to figure out like how he was going to, become this champion for hell, basically. And I thought that was interesting. It was almost kind of like I thought they were trying to say something here. It's like, look, the crown, you turn it upside down. And they did some visual cues like that at the very beginning with the king. I don't know if you remember, they showed the king and they would like show him and then they showed him like upside down. You're like, what's that about? And so they're kind of prepping you to like how the crown is perceived. It's like, and I think the
Mm,
Adriana, the historian, she kind of hinted at the crown is really a reflection of what's on top of the world. It's like it's a perverse reflection of what's happening in the underworld. And so you got to turn it upside down or look at it reverse, and you find out that when you die, you have the crown on you, you become the champion, get access to the demons. So I
yeah,
thought that was kind of interesting. And so to your point, the actor who plays the bad guy in this, Marwan Kenzari, he was actually in Aladdin, played a bad guy there. So yeah, so he played Jafar in the live action version.
yeah.
So yeah, good actor, man. So I mean, I liked how he played it, and then the reveal of the bad guy. I mean, be honest with you, I saw that coming. I know you. I know you. I don't know if you did, but it's pretty straightforward. It's like when the rock went into the hole, and I was like, okay, we're probably gonna have one more bad guy pop up. My son was like, "Is this over?" I said,
Yeah.
"No, son. We probably got another 40 minutes."
Yeah, so the only thing that got me, eh, and I kinda didn't see coming, but then after I rewound in my head, I got when they were in the little force field, and
Mhm.
he took the shot, and right after he took the shot, at the same time, he almost, like, undid the force field. You remember that?
Yes.
Because he had the little
Yeah.
button? I was like, "Why would you do that? Why would you undo the force field?" And why? And it kind of stuck with me as a weird movie thing, but of course, then it's like, no, you have to die before you can live, and he knew that he was just going to get, even if the kid lived or not, he was probably going to die anyway. So I didn't catch that right off the bat, but then I was like, okay, I liked it.
Did you how you went out? So that's
Yeah,
the scene I'm talking about. That
with the kid, right?
well, that when he would kind of got killed and became the champion, but when the champion did the was I don't remember what the creature's name was, but when he became the creature from hell, basically to
Mhm.
fight against everybody, and then he fought Black Adam, at the end. Yeah, that was pretty intense. Black Adam, to tell you, black, when you say he did his little catchphrase and split him in half, I was like, that was the scene. I was like, I don't know what to do right now to talk to my son about this. So I'm just
Yeah,
gonna leave it alone.
yeah, man, pulled him in half with the horn. So I looked around and I didn't see anybody like freaking out, but I got a few claps in the audience, like yeah, from the teenage kids.
Yeah, I just like, it was like bloodless anyway. So he was a bad guy, so I didn't say too much, but it's just like, it was like, ah. They try to say, what's the worst thing we can do to this character? Show that I'm still a bad guy, but I'm killing the bad guy. So there you
Yeah.
go.
I think it kind of got softened, that whole vibe, by Hawkman coming back. Because when he did the reincarnation thing, showed up again, there were claps in the audience. They were like, okay, I don't have to go away feeling so down because two guys that I like died.
Mm,
So
Dr. Fate. Well, they never really explained that either. I mean, so I know guys, we get into the weeds on here. But, it's kinda like Dr. Fate died and the helmet was still there, but then I thought you couldn't touch it unless, you can control the helmet. And all of a sudden, Hawkman knew all the powers, right? How to replicate himself. He knew how to, it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
what was that about? So
yeah. I think at some point they're like, dude, we don't care unless somebody can figure this out. We're turning in the script tomorrow morning.
I guess you can tell when people are just like, we're not gonna think about this one. I'm just gonna assume people because this things happen sometimes in movies and TV shows. Like, why? Like, for instance, why would they bring the Rock back to their house? I never got that was the thing that threw me out at the very beginning. Remember they saw he killed all the army people.
Yeah.
He got injured, he fell down and said, "Oh, let's take him back to my house in my son's bed."
Well, the kid did recognize him, at least the symbol in his chest. The kid, I thought, always recognized him as the big guy in the statue. So I think they may have been connecting him already as a hero. Because he,
Well, like I say, that's a stretch though, because like after all he did, I mean, literally, he basically massacred a whole army easily.
yeah,
And he fell from the sky. Oh, let's just take him home.
yeah, that's my comic book story explanation. So
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
No,
go on.
no. I think that's enough. And then, so yeah, man. Let's talk about a few other things here. What's it? Eternium. Do you
Yeah,
have any thoughts on that new entity, new
first,
new MacGuffin?
yeah, I don't know if it was, um, all the lightning that they were displaying in the movie, or, the big brawly look of the rock. But when I heard Eternium, the first thing I thought of was the kingdom of Eternia, where He-Man's from. And I was like, Eternia? What's this about? And oh, it's like vibranium. What is this? Comes straight out of Wakanda or something. So that's what I first thought of when I heard it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's where they kind of go with it, right? They're trying to, you know,
It even has a blue look like vibranium, right?
yeah, no, so once again, cribbing from other comic books, right? Storylines. This is Wakanda. Even Grace said they even have their own kind of version of Wakanda Forever, right? And I get their little triangles, right? Throw up your diamonds, it's the rock is real.
I could not, I could not stop. I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, every time I saw that.
TDP, I loved him. Oh, yeah. Well,
But
The
then,
Rock, Rock is
yeah,
there, he knows.
yeah, I wonder if he called, Diamond Dallas Page and was like, hey dog, you need to go see this movie. Promise you, don't let anybody ruin it for you. I need you to see this. Or did he just talk to him beforehand? I don't know.
Oh, man, it's funny. So,
But you said MacGuffin. Did it work for you in the story, the whole Eternium thing?
I mean, it's just like whatever, man. I mean, they really never explained it, what it was and why I guess they were trying to say that it hurt him, but did they show that in the past that it hurt him? I don't know. I can't recall that the crown, when he touched it, hurt him. But I guess, he's got to have some weakness, right? You can't just be all powerful with no weaknesses at all. So that was his weakness, Turnuranium or whatever that protect him. So yeah, it was okay. It wasn't they try to cram a lot of different ideas here, and then Grace is trying to explain, and I get what she's trying to go with. But look, they're trying to establish something here, right? They're trying to basically this is our vision of the DCEU, right? So it's like
Yeah.
we're gonna find all the best ideas from all the comic book stories, and we're gonna put them in our version. And then they stick because they worked. So that's how I looked at it.
Totally, dude. You could take this everywhere, man. If you want to go up against Aquaman, and what's that material they had in Aquaman, that they made the red lasers out of from your boy Black Manta. There's
Mhm.
connections there. There's all kinds of stuff, man. So that
Yeah.
I just love that the DCEU has their own weird glowy rock now.
Well, the thing is, they don't have any control. There's no mastermind behind this because you got like we talked about. They got Todd Phillips on this thing with the Joker. That's a whole different version. You got the Batman now. That is a whole different version. So it's like these visionaries are creating their own version of what the DCE is about, and there's no cohesiveness, and that's the problem.
Will will Big Money be able to rein it in?
I mean,
Like, if you
look,
knock
man.
out some successes and have big money, can you just tell all the other directors, like, "Hey, shut up. We got this."
Well, I mean, I hate to bring her up. Oh, this is like third time I bring Grace up again, but I mean, she makes a good point. Is this short term thinking just to get money, get the money bag, so Warner Bros. Discovery can sell off to Universal? I mean,
Mm.
it does seem like a play here. So yeah, I definitely see that they're just this is huge hit. This would be huge for them. So it doesn't matter what ideas they put in here. If they stick, they stick. And then if The Rock is making money for them, and if this becomes like a big hit for them, which is gonna be tough. I mean, you got I mean, they're already saying what's it called? Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever is already tracking like 150 million. So opening. So I think, but if it makes, decent money, couple 100 million, yeah, I could definitely see, hey, Rock, what you want to do, man? Here's some more money. Go make something else. Put Kevin Hart in there. Maybe he could be the next,
I just I just I just saw like a TikTok, Kevin Hart with his shirt off, and,
he could be Mr. Fantastic.
he's actually
No, Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific, but he's kind of short. We could be Mr. Terrific.
he'd actually kinda fit, man. I didn't know. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, anything could happen, right? Oh my gosh. Don't let me start bringing Black Sands Entertainment into it.
Yeah.
Make a play. Somebody make a play. All right. So it was in the Middle East also. Did you like the way they framed that? You said Egypt and all that, but did it work for you?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean,
All
I
right.
like that, so that was pretty I like that. Yeah, that's all I
That's all,
got.
that's all I got. What's funny? I have seen a lot of reactions from people in the Middle East and India for whatever reason, reaction videos. I thought they were big over here. They're like they're big over in the Middle East, Pakistan, India also. And they really like, just I guess, rewatching with other people. And so now I kind of want to see people reacting to this, just to get that kind of vibe of, hey, not everything has to happen in America.
Hmm. No, I agree. So we'll see what happens, with all that. I think, I liked what they were trying to go with it, different aspect. I mean, they literally stayed in that one country the whole time. So I
Good point.
felt sorry for that country, man. It was like it, so much destruction in that country. I'm like, dude, I felt sorry for. I mean, basically, it was the beginning. They fought freaking Adam Smasher, knocking over statues. Freaking the end, they fought throughout the movie. They were chasing scooters in the air. I mean, people were still working, man. Dude, I mean, after the first incident, I mean, let's take some time off. let's
Hey,
let's do a national day of mourning, man. Let's just shut everything down.
oh man, shout out to the traders market that got messed up. Oh wait, they only went to one other place, and that was the underwater base, right?
Yeah, they went there. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's a very contained movie, and the studio, sound studio somewhere, probably not in Atlanta, but somewhere.
Yeah, so yeah, and it didn't stray too far from the comic book movie formula, like at all. But it was different enough with different vibes and different characters that it kind of worked.
hmm Yeah, yeah, I think so, and I think that they're trying to make a. But I think they are trying to make a play that this is different than your comic book Black Adam, because he wants to rule. He literally is the king of Karnak, and I think The Rock explicitly at the end smashes the throne. So
Yeah.
ain't no rulers here. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
You know that pose when he sat on the throne? That's like a
Yes,
classic comic book cover of
it
Black Adam.
is. It is. And so he just sat there and just like, nah. They're like, what?
Feels wrong.
So, yeah, I know. So, I mean, but you saw what they did also, hit when he was first Black Adam, it was all black and, no cape or nothing. And then when he became back, he had a cape, he had the gold bracelets, he
Yeah,
was back, it's just like more, anti-hero friendly version, right? And so, I mean, I
yeah.
get it. Rock is trying
They
to make him likable.
right. They even prepared us for that with statistically, not a lot of heroes wear capes,
Yes.
and then they put one on him. So it's like, okay,
Man, you're right, man. It's like you could see the calculations going to this movie. It's like, okay, business. We gotta separate this from DC. Oh, gotta set everybody else for this. We gotta set up Rock as a hero. Oh, we gotta set up Justice Society. Oh, we gotta set up this Middle Eastern. We gotta be respectful of that. It was like all these calculations were going to this movie, and and it's just like, wow. you could just you could almost see, you can see the thread, right? All the seams and how they built this movie. Which is fine. I mean, it's very heavily produced. Let's just say that.
yeah, and I think that was my issue. Not an issue so much, but usually I have a lot to say about how to take apart a movie. I'm like, well, I would have done this and changed that for this and that. But I was like, after I started thinking about it, like, no, they did a lot. And for all that they were trying to do, it would be pretty hard to pull out a little piece here and there without the rest of it falling down or feeling hollow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they did the best they could.
I don't
What
know this
about
direct. I don't know this director at all, though. You're talking about directors, and the director for Black Adam was named. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Jaume Colette Serra. Yeah,
mm,
I'll go
yeah,
with
I've
that.
never yeah, I know I saw it. Hell he was. I was like, who's this guy? I mean, I thought they're passable. I mean, so this gets into CGI. How was the CGI compared to other movies?
It was good. Like I didn't think it was top of the line, but there was so much of it. You kind of like were okay. There's a lot of this, and they're playing it kind of all the time. Like a lot of his floating and fighting scenes, you could tell. Uh, they didn't spend a lot like on the zombies. It's like whatever, you
Yeah.
know, just make them look dirty, and, and nobody will care too much. But there was so much of it, and it kept moving that one thing with CGI and computer graphic, any type of added VFX, they have to flow with the context of your visual understanding of what's going on. So when you've got a good visual understanding of what's going on and they throw stuff in to add to it, you're like, okay, this works out. But if they really want you to believe this is a touching moment and all of a sudden everything goes from realistic to CGI and you're like, it threw me off. What's going on? Who directed this? And I think they just played it relatively well, so it didn't bother you too much.
I agree. So yeah, I think they had time to finish out, and even some of the fights. I mean, it was really visually pretty spectacular. The visual fighting, and even the close-up fighting. With a lot of rubbery characters and stuff like that when they were fighting high speed, and they kept a lot of scenes where just Rock was just floating in the air. So I'm sure that wasn't cheap. So Rock was like, "Look." You gonna pay me to be in this movie? I want to float everywhere I go. So,
I
yeah,
want to float all over the place.
float on y'all. I mean, it's basically a character statement, right? When he stopped floating at the near the end, right? When he
Good point.
willingly gave up himself, right? So it's like, before that, I'm a god. But when I choose to give up my godhood, yes, then you can see me walking.
Totally. Where you want to go from there?
Let's just talk about the elephant in the room.
Oh, right.
Let's just get into it.
The red and blue elephant in the room.
Yeah. So let's just spoil it. Hey guys, spoiler. We about to do it. About to do it. Superman shows up in the, I guess, final credits, mid credit scene, if you will, of this Shazam, and basically it was after Weller tells Black Adam, "Watch your back. We'll stop you. You ain't got nobody to stop me. I'm too badass. We got folks." And then out of the shadows, black comes a shadowy figure. And guess what? It's Henry Cavill as Superman. Dun, 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 dun. And he basically says, "Look, this is, the world is nervous, and I'm here to check you." And that's it. 5 seconds, literally. So
Hey,
in my theater, everybody clapped, was excited. Did you witness the same thing?
yeah, man, my people got hype. I was in a theater where a lot of people were already leaving. It's the afternoon crowd, maybe not so much more of the hardcore evening crowd, which you would have gotten.
No, the afternoon crowd. It was around like 2 when we went.
Oh,
So,
now too. Okay. Well, yeah,
yeah.
around the same.
Yeah, everybody was leaving. I was surprised. I was like, "Oh, these
What's
guys." Yeah,
wrong?
my son was like, "Why are they leaving? Don't they know?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, taught you well."
Yeah, man. No, I got hyped, and the people around me got hyped, and I like the way they played it, kind of a little standoff, and then The Rock finished it off with a little smirk. So I was digging that. I was like, that's a perfect little bow to to wrap up this whole thing.
So, like I was mentioning earlier, The Rock and Henry Cavill share the same manager,
Hmm.
aka Danny Garcia. So, remember they're trying to get Henry Cavill to show up in Shazam, and they did the headless
Yeah.
cameo, which was kind of cheap. So, I think, according to, other sources on the internet, aka Grace, I guess the thing that the equation was like, we're gonna do this movie with The Rock, everybody's gonna be excited. But then I guess when he got booed at Comic-Con for saying that, he could kick, Superman's ass,
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, we gotta get Henry Cavill here as Superman." And so, he just, worked with his partner and they figured it out with Henry Cavill. And looks like, they filmed it back in September. So literally like a month ago. So to kind of get this out, it kind of shows a little bit because it's like literally he's in black. It's a silhouette for like freaking, 5 seconds before you actually see him on stage on the screen. So kudos to them. Good for them. That's a major power play because after he didn't show up in anything for Warner Brothers forever, and
Yeah.
and literally he probably could have went to Marvel. I think Marvel was kind of courting him. They're looking at him for Bond to get him to kind of commit to at least showing up again one more time. And I think he's going to show up in Flashpoint one more time as Superman. That's a big, huge get for them to do that. And so, is he going to come back as in Man of Steel 2? No, no selling. But I mean, if this movie does good, Rock and Danny Garcia will have all the leverage at that point. And so, Warner Brothers is going to have no excuse but to. You see that truck over there, Mr. Benja? See that big,
Wait, the,
16
the one
wheeler,
the one that's backing up.
the one's backing up.
Oh,
Guess what? Nothing but dollars. Nothing but dollars. That's gonna be over at Henry Cavill's house tomorrow. so anyway, that's the business side. But what about on the show side? What are your thoughts about that? What does it mean for DCU?
as I said, it's a play that really allows it gives the story of the DCEU so much more depth because this movie didn't feel like a bunch of random shots. It felt like, hey, we could be doing this, or we could be going in this direction, or what about this direction? There were so many of those that you just want more from it.
Mhm.
And with
That's
Superman
good.
being in the mix, as I said, with the perfect little bow to put on top of this package, it says this is legitimate DCEU. We weren't just tearing up posters and all that. We're there. We have, Man of Steel showing up. We have The Rock. It's going to get internet buzz. So I just think it was a great move to let people know that the DCEU is not done. You're going to get the fans hype, get them wanting for more. And somebody over at Warner Brothers is going to be like, hey, there's nobody controlling this. Let's go make some money, guys. And, put a lot behind it.
I
It's
love it, man.
totally good on the story aspect. I mean, come on, dog. Almost every aspect of this story can be worked into something else. And I think that's one of the things that makes it really good. As I said, Cyclone, Adam Smasher, they got the younger crowd. They can go off and do some weird series or some, younger themed characters or a TV series. You've got Dr. Fate, learning more about the mask and the helmet. There's things that can be done there. The whole area with the Eternium, pull out stories from there. Maybe who is this Intergang? I thought they were a new group. Apparently they've been around since like the 1970s. I looked up. So
Mhm.
so that could be the DCEU's version of Hydra or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just so many different angles. And so yeah, show wise, I mean, I loved it.
I love it. Yeah. So more to come on that, but yeah, like I said, everybody's excited about what this means because there's been a lot of back and forth, right, between Henry Cavill and DCU. I mean, someone made a good point. Is he a good Superman? I don't know, but he's a Superman we got, right? And so it's kind of like, if you want to see Superman, I mean, I can't. I'm sure there's some younger guys. I mean, the guy who played the Superman on TV, Lois and Lane, Taylor something. I think he's passable. I mean, there's a general. I mean, Superman has a general
Superman and
goodness
Lois?
about him. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Tyler Hoechlin or something like that. But he plays Superman there.
I don't like
I mean,
this. I mean, I don't like him as Superman.
oh, you don't? Okay.
I mean, he's
Uh,
a little too Clark Kent for me.
yeah, it's hard. But Henry Cavill does know Clark Kent. I don't even know what Clark Kent looks like for him. It's just like I'm always Superman.
Pretty much.
Christopher Reeve embodied both, and so that's the vision. But I don't think they're gonna take a risk on a new actor anymore. So we'll see. But yeah, powerful move, business move, baller move. We'll see what they're gonna do next for the future for Man of Steel 2 and what that means. So I'm excited about it.
Holy crap. I did not know, Danny Garcia was fit like this.
Yeah, she got some guns, dude.
She been working out, son.
Yeah, I mean, she'll beat your ass.
Late at night gym sessions trying to
I
get
mean,
those.
she was married to The Rock. I'm sure they were working out together, man. What you think?
Oh yeah. All right, that's all I got on this.
We'll leave that alone. So, anything else, Mr. Benja?
Oh man, I'm just glad to say hero movies are still around. They're giving me this much excitement. So I'm so digging it. I'm so happy.
Yeah, same here, man. Kudos to The Rock. Thanks for making a better movie than I thought it should have been. So yeah, it was a good time. I mean, literally, we only gotta have two more of the blockbusters: Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, and probably Avatar 2. So it's been slim pickings, theaters, unless you like horror like that. But so, we're gonna have some blockbuster movies coming out here. So I think people will enjoy that at the movie theater. So I'm excited about that. So overall, go check out Black Adam. I think we both recommend checking it out. We gave some spoilers, so hopefully, go check it out. Go listen to the rest of this. But yeah, I think we got a vision for what's the DCEU could do in the future.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, hey everyone, Mr. Benji, anything going for the week?
I'm gonna try to stay away from all this high fructose corn syrup that's going around Halloween time. I might watch some horror movies to get in the mode, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
I gotta prepare my Kickstarter also. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's happening.
Excited about it. So excited about it. Traveled to last week, DC area and the Atlanta area. So I'm probably gonna be around this week. Got a big event coming up. Blacks in Technology will be in Orlando. So a panel discussion. Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. If you're interested in technology and healthcare, go check us out in Orlando. So yeah, go shout out to that. over at Coronado Springs on Friday at 4 o'clock. So we'll be doing a panel discussion discussing that.
I was gonna write I tried designing a logo for Blacks in Technology one time, and they didn't accept it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was a
Been around.
it was kind of a wild logo, so I get it, but I thought it was great.
I love it. I love it. So yeah. So guys, go check it out in Orlando. It's Friday, October 28th in Coronado Springs at 4 p.m. We'll do our session. So with that being said, Mr. Benja, go ahead and close it out. Hey guys, thank you for listening. Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture. Definitely go check us out. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And Show versus Business on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Visit us on our website at Show versus Business. But if you want to hear us live, go check us out around 9:06 Pacific, Wednesdays on IG Live, and Mr. Benja during his ADD experience, where we go over all the news from the week so far. All right, Mr. Benja, take care.
Peace.